Hi, my name's Seren and I'm part of the Worthing congregation. I'm a mum, a stepmum and a step-granny, and I am also a writer in the field of international development. I think if I've found anything hard during this pandemic, it's a concern for our teenage boys who are both at different decision-making points in their life. I've been worried about them, and also I think because of the international scope and nature of the things I write about how the pandemic was going to impact different countries, I've also, on a bad day, perhaps been concerned about feeling small. I am quite short, but feeling insignificant, and also maybe a sense that God has lost sight of us. As a form of escapism during this time, I've been reading a wonderful book about shepherding in Cumbria in the north of England, the Lake District, close to where I grew up. I spent all my summers there as a child, and have just been fascinated by reading about this hill farming. It's tough farming, it's harsh weather, tough terrain. These are no-nonsense folk, and it's the passages about lambing that I've been particularly moved by. Lambing, coincidentally, would have the start of lockdown would have coincided with lambing in March and April in Cumbria, and this is a time where it's a hugely stressful time for farmers who have to go out, find these lambs, bring them back to the lambing sheds within hours of them being born, otherwise they'll die in the cold, and just the sheer determination of these shepherds to find every last lamb. The lambs are wayward creatures, they get lost, they fall into streams, they get tangled in thorn bushes, but the farmer will look out and seek after every last one, not because of their commercial value necessarily, although that is a concern for them, but because of their intrinsic worth. And it was a particular passage about these tough, gruff northern farmers kneeling and feeding stomach tubes over the delicate little pink tongues of lambs, of poorly lambs, to save them, that spoke to me of God's fierce and determined love for us. It really stayed with me, and so much so that when I was driving in my car and a track called Defender came out on the speaker, I was just suddenly overwhelmed, thinking back to these lambs and the shepherd, just so totally overwhelmed by a sense of God's fierce and determined love for me, that he would die for me. I don't think I've ever really accepted or understood that properly, and a sense that he's got my back, that he fights my battles for me, and it's in his nature as a father to do that. A verse in the Bible has been particularly helpful to me during this time, which really talks of the enormity of what God holds in his hands, but his compassion and his focus on us as individuals. And it's Isaiah 40, 10-11. See, the sovereign Lord comes with power, and he rules with a mighty arm. He tends his flock like a shepherd, and he gathers the lambs in his arms. And I just want to reassure you, as God has reminded me, that his love for us is fierce and determined and tender, and that he's got your back, and that he sees you. And if you're a parent, then the next verse in Isaiah is really beautiful, that he gently leads those that have young. He's got you, he sees you, and he's got your kids too. Remember that. God bless.